Stop right there. Yeah, you. If you like all things entertainment, current events, or Hollywood, then look no further. Creator to Creators, hosted by director Meosha Bean of Horror Noir, interviews filmmakers and creatives from around the world. Join in on the fun, guest celebrities, and informative information to have as a creator. Hit subscribe and stay connected to Creator to Creators.
Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of Creators to Creators today. Today, we have a special guest.
Hi, guys. This is Masque, Masque.
Thank you so much for coming on. I'm so excited to chat with you.
Yes, thank you for having me on.
Of course. So I love to, talk to people and I loved always to go back to the beginning, of how it all started. Like, what was your childhood like growing up? And, how did you find your way into the music world?
I think musically, I started training on the piano when I was very young, and I received a classical training there. And on top of that, my grandmother was a backup singer for Mel Torme, and so there was always a lot of classical sort of jazz that I heard growing up. Um, and then, of course, as I got into my teen years, I really got into pop music, that sort of thing, Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
And I sang in school musicals, that sort of thing. But it didn't occur to me to really pursue that until 2020 during lockdown. I had a desk job that I was doing from home, and at a certain point, I just said to myself, "What is the point of this? I'm not happy here. I'm not fulfilled here. I want to really make something special." And so I started uh, returning to my training of practicing singing. Started using my training to write songs and found some people to work with. And over the next few years, I've been able to release enough songs to release a full album.
Awesome. That is so cool. I just think it's so like awesome to just, write something and then just and being vulnerable at that, putting your emotions and feelings behind something and putting it out there for the world to hear. Like
Yeah,
I commend you.
thank you. Yeah, the mortifying ordeal of being known.
Right, right, exactly. So tell me a little bit about the, experimental, rock pop, like kind of music, the album that you have, the music that you make. What's behind the deluxe, and like what was the process of making that? And like, I mean, talk about it a little bit, like,
Sure, yeah. So it didn't start off as an idea for an album. It started off as my first few songs, which
nice.
were sort of experimental pop songs based on Lady Gaga, Sia, that sort of thing, talking about my emotions, as the album title Masqued Emotions implies. And then as I continued to get more ideas, I started to get an idea for where I wanted to go thematically with the album, focusing on my experiences with mental health and as a gay man and that sort of things. And I also wanted to explore some genres. I There's a bit of the album where I explore more electronic sounds, and some of the album where I explore hard rock sounds. And I initially had 10 songs that were prepared um, for the original album. I ran them by my family, and 9 of them passed the test, and that became the base album. So for the deluxe version, I actually wanted to re-record one of the songs. I wanted to improve on the vocals. And on top of that, the one song that didn't make the original cut, plus one brand new song I had come up with, were added, and of course, a couple remixes. And we got the full deluxe album, which I'm very pleased with. And interestingly, the song that didn't make the cut with my family did actually become popular among my fans, which, you never know how things are going to turn out.
Absolutely, you never know. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and the song, I'm currently focusing on Sunhat as a that's one of the more electronic songs that uh, the album goes through highs and lows. It's the lower emotions of shame, of fear and anger, as well as the higher emotions of hope, joy, and this Sun Hat is an encapsulation of the better emotions. It's about those days when you're feeling finally feeling good about yourself after
Mm.
going through a number of tough times on a rare day when things actually come together.
Yeah. No, that's beautiful that I mean that you explore that. I think music needs that so desperately needs that kind of real vulnerable and those topics because the world is hurting and I think a lot of people need I think music is therapy. I mean, I listen to it and then you just feel better, and I think you need,
Agreed.
have a way to somewhere to release it because I imagine as an artist yourself, like when you're yeah, you have so much, creatively happening in your head, like you just have to put it out there. Is that
Yeah.
how this was?
Oh yes, definitely, constantly, and even now I'm constantly just having new thoughts. There'll be an idea for a song. Ooh, well, wouldn't that be a topic? Then it just sleep on it, and my subconscious will work on it, and the songs just keep forming, and faster than I can. And I write them, and I produce them, and faster than it would be wise to release them. They just keep coming.
That's so cool. Like I'm as a filmmaker, when I create something, I just wonder how it is for you. Like, how do you know something is done? Because like for me, I'm like, I like to create. I'm like, oh, I don't know. I can fix this. I can do that. I can.
Oh yes. Oh no. I feel that all the time. I'll write something down, and I'll be just practicing it and thinking, oh no, did that line with the previous line? Am I using too many metaphors in one song? What about that? I don't know about that melody. And I'll keep writing it down until at a certain point I'll get a feeling inside
Yeah.
of me where like, oh, that actually sounds nice, and I don't have any comments. And this is not a feeling that happens quickly. This happens after a few months of just having that song, the sheet music nearby that I can
Yeah.
constantly update.
No, that's awesome. That's really cool. What do you want people to walk away with after listening to, you know, your songs? Like what do you want people to feel?
If I listen to my entire album, I would want them to away with the feeling that yes, there are some struggles in life, but there is also hope. There will be times when things will get better. Uh, um, there will be the dark stuff, but there will also be the good stuff as well.
Yeah. If you want to, I mean, like what are some things that you do as far as like certain things? Like for me, there has been a lot of ups and downs in the journey of being a filmmaker. I mean, it's a tough industry. I mean, I'm sure the music world is even harder to like get your stuff out there with. I mean, there's so much going, like music saturated, there's so much music out there, and just like finding your voice and what you want to talk about and getting it to people like your fans. How do you, like, what keeps you going?
It's honestly just the positive comments. And I know it's the internet, there's going to be some negative stuff, but even then, just one positive comment, just something as simple as saying, I really like this,
Yeah.
just really makes me feel good and really drives me to want to create more music.
I love that. That's beautiful. I like what you said, and I was reading a little bit about your bio, and I like what you said about the light and darkness of the human experience, and you want people to. That's what you want people to feel like, to be able to look at the journey and say, you know what? Yes, we have tough times, but there is always light at the end of the tunnel, and I think that's a wonderful thing. Like the music world nowadays, it just feels like there's the mainstream music it feels like that, most people are talking about sex, money, drugs, and it's like saturated on the radio. um do you feel like I first of all, I commend you for making music that people need to hear and to feel better about themselves, so I appreciate that. Like I'm sure that's, I mean, the mainstream, right? Like people want
Yeah.
to, I think people do it because that's what everyone wants to hear. But I don't think so, you know?
Yeah. It's there's sort of a weird echo chamber effect or a feedback effect where one of the main ways you promote your music is to find similar music. And
Yeah.
so if one particular subject gets popular, then if you really want your music to be successful, you have to try and write to that. But if that is the topic is, money, sex, drugs, which no judgment if you like that. We can all have fun. If that's if that's what's popular, then if you need to start writing that as the best um, chance to make your music popular.
Hmm.
Um,
Have a
which
fun.
doesn't mean you can't write other stuff, of course, which is what I'm trying to do. It's just slightly more dangerous hill to climb.
Yeah, and I would think so because like, it's not like I don't really, the and that like you said, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's just I feel like we're living such a time that like people are like hurting. They don't know what to do.
Yeah,
They need some type of outlet or some place
yeah.
to go to get away from, I mean, even just the mundane of just like day by day of their life, so I feel like music is like a way to escape it all in a way. And
I think so. Yeah, and
yeah.
I think we've started to see more of this sort of mental health oriented music in the past few years with Lizzo,
Yeah.
Imagine Dragons' latest stuff.
Yeah, it's a great time. It's a great time. So I mean, hey, congrats on that and everything you're doing. Also, can I just talk about how I just love the mask? Talk about a little bit, where did that come from? And just like, you know, creating that this I love the look. I was like, oh, this
Thank
is
you.
fun.
Yeah, but everyone needs that. We all need something to stand out as musicians to make us
Definitely.
more noticeable. And I had a mask, and I thought, you know, that could be fun. I can do something with that. So I bought a really simple top hat too, and bought a
Nice.
couple a wig, a couple other masks, and now I have uh, a variety of simple outfits I can wear to make myself more noticeable, both when I'm performing live, when I'm doing TikTok and social media, on my album cover, all that. And I think it also makes a good metaphor for some of my music.
Oh, definitely. 1000%. Like I literally, when I first saw your photo, I was thinking, have you seen the film Eyes Wide Shut? Stanley Kubrick's film with Nicole
Oh,
Kidman
I
and
saw it a number of years ago. Yes. Yeah, slightly different use of the mask, but yeah.
Right. Yeah, but I love the mask. I was just thinking, oh, that's so cool. I just thought it was so cool. And I'm always thinking about a film. So yeah,
Mhm.
that's awesome. Um, what song was for you, would you say was the hardest to write and why? The most difficult?
I think the most difficult to write, actually, I'm going to say Lie in the Mirror, because that's actually the first song. What? Yes, actually, it was the first song I wrote for the album, but
Mm.
it wasn't very good. I was just getting back into it, and I was still a bit rusty when I first wrote that, and so I needed to keep writing it because it was not a draft, and keep figuring out how I wanted to say it. But there were a lot of issues with the beat, how I was getting my message across for that song, and so that one, beyond all the others, required a lot more drafts to rewrite. And I actually am. It actually came out as my favorite song. I like the it uses a bit of dance elements, and so I'm really happy how the finalized version sounds.
I love that. No, that's awesome. How like how involved are you with the process of when you're creating your music? Do you edit all of it? You're doing visuals? Like, are you pretty
Um,
involved?
uh, yeah, heavily involved. There's a few parts where I don't do as much. I certainly write out the lyrics, the melody, and I write with sheet music using the rock instruments, guitar,
Nice.
piano, bass, that sort of stuff. And then I work with a producer, and I like to work with producers who like to put in their flair, are willing to take what I've done and change it, and they'll send me some ideas, and we'll go back and forth, and ultimately they will have a bit more input during that stage. But then, of course, during the recording sessions, there will be more changes there, and I'm heavily involved in what harmonies we come
Yeah.
up with, anything that's done at that point. Um, and then, of course, when making the visuals, heavily involved in that too.
Nice.
Well, I don't on occasion I have made the single art myself, but for the most part, I met an artist, Ernan, who is extremely talented and who does most of my single art for me. Um,
Nice.
and the music videos, I do those almost entirely by myself.
Oh
Though
wow. Very
they're
cool.
they're very simple stuff.
Nice. I mean, I love it. I think that's, like, where the business that we're in, like, it's like a lot of I think a lot of times, I guess, the aim obviously is to get your stuff out there, but I feel like it's doing it yourself. Like, I remember when I first started in film, but like, I picked up an editing book. I read, I started learning how to do it myself, like, and then I became like my own like my own machine, and I
Yeah,
create, I could edit, I can put it out, I can shoot, but these are skills that I think it's really important to have, when you're trying to put your music out there, because it's pretty expensive, getting editors and visual
I
artists
agree.
to, like,
And
work on your
especially
stuff.
when you're an independent
Yeah,
artist, it's especially important to be able to learn as many of the skills as you can.
definitely. You're based in Hawaii.
That's correct.
Nice. So tell me a little bit about the music world. Is it popular there, or is it not really a
I mean,
thing?
yeah, I mean, of course, music's popular here. It's just it's slightly in a weird place because Hawaii is, and I live in Honolulu, and it's so tourist oriented here that there's that touristy ukulele music sound that
Nice.
we want, and so there's so much of that around. And if you go out and hear live music, it's almost there's a very high chance it's going to be that style of music, but
Ah,
it's far from the only popular. All of the standard genres are popular. You just don't hear them performed live nearly as much. And
ah,
so we have this unusual balance.
I see. Is it like, as far as, like, when is it getting your stuff, because I know I've never been. I think it's a beautiful place, but I can imagine, like, I know how the the entertainment or film world is in, Los Angeles. It's super saturated. So I'm sure it's like it's a great place to, like, put your music out, and there's not, I mean, I'm sure there's artists there, but not
It is.
as
It's also
many.
it's there's not quite as many opportunity. Well, I actually don't know what it's like on the in other states, but there's not as many opportunities here as I would like. There's certainly opportunities, but because it's difficult to tour sometimes if you're based in Hawaii,
Ah,
because you gotta fly, especially if you're independent, you gotta make that big flight out to the States. Um, and because the larger, well, I tentatively use that word, the quote unquote larger studios are more interested in the touristy sound.
I
It can be a
see.
little difficult here.
I see. Yeah, I can't imagine, like, but that, I mean, that's so cool. And then I'm sure I mean, you have, like, the most beautiful scenery to shoot, like, all your
Yes, we
amazing
do.
visuals. I got to see a few of your videos. I was like, wow, it's so gorgeous
Oh,
there. Just
thank you.
lovely.
And well, you probably noticed. Well, there's the music video for "Burn the Cards." I shot that on a great day. My friend lives in the valley, and
Nice.
has they have a house and that they let me film at. But then for the Sunhat video, that's supposed to be about a nice, bright, cheery day. And on the day I had scheduled to do it, of course, it was cloudy and overcast. So then, as I'm editing this, I'm trying to edit the saturation to make
Yeah.
it look pretty. And I get all the colors, but then you can't look at but then my skin looks, and I decided so be it. My skin looks just a little red because of the
No, but
saturation.
I love the video. It was really fun. It was really
Oh,
fun.
thank you.
Yeah, it was nice to watch. Um, I always like to ask this question with every guest, and there's no wrong answer. But they say there's a three levels of influence in the world: money, power, or respect. And if you could choose one, which one would you choose, and why?
It's interesting because you can't completely separate one from the other. I'm Power. I don't know. That's power isn't really something that I've felt drives me. And I do like respect, but we do live in America and we've had that culture imposed upon us. And so I do feel probably money would be the one to choose, just because that's the one people constantly talk about. That's what you're supposed to want. And I don't know enough to know differently, quite honestly.
No, that's a great answer. I like it. Um, I'm curious. Like, I mean the entertainment world, like especially I commend artists, people that are putting themselves out there. I mean, I for me I do, but I'm more so like behind the camera, so it's not as, and like I don't get all the attention, but I can only imagine what it is like to put yourself out there and like, you know, it's like, hey everybody, look at
Yeah. Hey,
me.
look at me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just
I'm
never
honest.
know.
Yeah. Honestly, the
um
mask helps a bit in that part.
yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, gives me a little bit of confidence and a little bit of privacy.
I like that. That's actually very interesting. And yeah, I love that. That's actually really cool. Very, very cool. What advice would you give to someone that wants to, get into this music world?
That as long as you are open to keep learning over long periods of time, there's always something new to learn. And you don't have to be good at all when you start. You can just, as long as you feel the love for music, just start writing, start singing, start practicing, and figure out how you can improve, figure out where you can go to for resources to learn how to get better, and just find it in yourself, find the motivation to start.
I love that. Find the motivation to start. Yeah, because that's like the start of anything, right? Just it's like we just never know. You just have to start and see
Yeah.
what happens.
Yeah.
I love that. That's beautiful. If you could perform, this is kind of fun question, with anyone, living or dead, who would it be and why?
I'm gonna go with Freddie Mercury.
Ah,
Yeah.
nice. That's a good
Yes.
one. That's a
Thank
great
you.
one. Of
And the rest of Queen too, of course. But
course.
Queen is one of my biggest musical influences. I love rock. I love the sound they have, and I think Mercury was brilliant. And I also think he's an important figure in gay culture, and he's a bit of a martyr. And I think that'd be a really spiritual experience.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think worked? Why do you think it worked for him? Despite all the, hearing this, his story and even the documentary and the just why do you think it worked for him and creatively?
Right from the start, for he clearly had some clear inspirations that he wanted to bring with his love of opera, and right from the start, from his very first album with Queen, but far before they hit it big, there was clearly a lot of talent there. There was a lot of it's just the ability to sing, the creativity behind his and the entire band's writing style, um, and the passion to work in extremely suboptimal conditions for his first contract, and
Mhm.
yet continue to push forward.
Yeah, but I think that's what it is, right? Even any great artist, I think, in any, I think, field, it's that you're right. It's pushing forward no matter what setbacks that you face because it's it's going to happen, right? And anything that we do, is pushing forward. I love that. Where do you where do you think you get your confidence from? And yeah, like I think that's awesome that you have that as an artist.
You know, I want it to come from, you think it should come from things like praise, you think it should come from things like experience. At the end of the day, it comes from practice. And I don't mean practicing performing, I mean practicing loving yourself.
I love
I
that.
think that's where true confidence comes from.
I love that. How do you practice that?
By telling myself, by practicing meditation, by practicing relaxing, and
Nice.
telling myself and practicing catching those thoughts in my mind, that as soon as the thoughts come and start saying negative things about me, trying to catch them and stop them as soon as I can.
I love that. That's beautiful. I love that. I have you ever heard of ayahuasca?
Only by name.
Ah, yeah, it's like so, a friend of mine, I think it's in from India. I think it's created in India. It's like the psychedelics that they take, and you're supposed to kind of get in touch with your childhood self because apparently all the things that we are stems from that childhood version of yourself. Like it's like if you look back, and it's funny because I have a therapist now, and I'm so
Same.
happy. Right, it's
Yeah.
so helpful, and it's like they always say, your childhood self, and I'm like, and it's funny. I kind of subconsciously blocked a lot of things out, didn't, and not on purpose, but now that I've been talking to my therapist and stuff, and she's been like, yeah, you have to unlock that. And once you open it up, it's like things that you've buried away and you didn't know that you did. It's like it's so freeing now. Like now that I've accepted that. Um, so yeah, I do apply that to even my career that I do as film, and I can write things more honest. I can go back to those places that I somehow shut off or closed. So
Yeah. Being more honest with yourself can really help you understand yourself and
yeah.
understand and opens up a whole bunch, so many new avenues for you artistically.
Definitely. What's one of the your favorite performances that you like performing, like what experience as a music artist?
It's it's just a
Like a moment that you're like, you know what? This is why I do it.
uh um I I'm not sure it's quite the moment of this is why I do it. It's well, I'll choose a different moment instead. Simply after performing at a bar once, and and I had a couple of friends there, but and then a couple of people I didn't know at all came up and said, "We really like your stuff. You've made a follower out of us."
Oh, I love that. I love that. That's awesome. That's really, really cool. What's um what's next for you and your journey? What do you want for like for your music career? What is it that you're aiming for? What's next?
I definitely like this to grow and make more connections, expand my touring, just become a bigger artist. And I have more ideas for albums. Of course, I'm still going to spend some time promoting Masqued Emotions,
Nice.
but I have a very clear idea what I want to do for my next album,
Nice.
and I've done work on that. And if I could get some a label behind me to
Yeah.
help me make my next album, that'd be really great.
Awesome. Well, hey, your mouth to God's ears. It's gonna definitely happen for sure. Definitely. Are
Thank
you gonna
you.
come to the States? Or
Yes, I have, I do travel to the States occasionally.
Okay,
I do have
good.
relatives there. So,
Nice.
and yeah, so, and hopefully I do want to perform more in the States.
Yeah.
So we will see how things go.
All right. Definitely. Definitely. That's awesome. Where can people find you on social media to look you up and listen to all the things that you have going on?
You can find me on Instagram and TikTok under Masque Music. That's spelled MasqueMusique. You can
Nice.
find my music anywhere you stream music. My name is Masque, Masque, and my album is Masqued Emotions. That's Masqued Emotions.
Nice. Yes, everybody, make sure you go and listen, follow, support. And thank you so much for just talking with us and, sharing your journey and your experience.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Definitely, definitely. And thank you all for listening. And always remember to live, love, laugh. We'll see you guys next time.